as a person who is religious, let's say you're like, I don't believe in evolution, I don't believe in science, and blah, 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 blah. Even though you do. You believe in science in almost every part of your life, actually, except for when it comes to religion, something that is at odds with maybe the specific religion that you are. Then you don't want to hear it. Then you don't believe in science. Then you don't think it's true. Then you don't think it's real or whatever, right? But you know, when you're using your laptop and your phone, or you go outside, you turn on your car, or you know, lights work in your house, or you're using any sort of electronics or anything like that, you understand science in that way, right? Then it's okay. But as soon as that same science is used in a different, you know, subject, category, whatever, that is maybe at odds with something you believe, then you don't believe it. Every 12 business days, Neil deGrasse Tyson actually gets on here and says something. It might be the same thing. It might be something different. But today, I'm going to see if I agree with him. This is a very, very weird video, and I was like, I have to react to it. Let's talk about it. Steve Harvey and Neil deGrasse Tyson debate science versus religion. Now, spoiler alert, I saw the entire audience is black. Whew, I'm a little nervous, y'all. I'm a little nervous.
You wrote this new book. It's called Letters from an Astrophysicist.
Yeah.
And you asked, what happened was a lot of people was writing you letters and asking you tough questions.
Strangers writing to me like I was their best friend.
And so you took all these letters and put them in a book.
I've been doing it for 30 years.
You know, I think that Neil deGrasse Tyson does a very good job of like being a good science communicator. I think that some people are scientists, and then there are other people who are scientists and also able to communicate to people who don't understand the science. They didn't go to school for it. And I think that Neil deGrasse Tyson is one of those people.
There's one letter, talk about from somewhere else, from a Jewish woman with a 10-year-old son who's on the autism spectrum, takes him to Hebrew school every week, and one day he came home and said he doesn't believe in God.
Uh-oh. I don't know. This is scaring me, guys. This is scaring me because I watched up to this point. And I know the audience is black. And there was probably some gas, there's some pearl clutching. And I'm looking at Steve Harvey's face right now. He doesn't know what to say.
She said that she respects her son, and she doesn't want him to believe something that might not be true. And she focused primarily not so much on whether God exists or not, but on the Bible stories that he was rejecting.
There is a lot of Bible stories that just either A, don't make sense. Oh my gosh. And I know I'm being crucified right now. No pun intended. I'm being crucified. I'm being vilified, actually, for my thoughts on this. But there are a plethora of things that do not exist. I mean, do not make sense in the Bible. And so I really wonder as a child if I like, you know, because I wasn't really too devout. I really wonder if I was like more, you know, invested in the Bible and the things it was saying, that if I really would have caught on to like, hey, this doesn't make sense, or if I would have been, you know, a lot of people take the opposite route where they believe that, you know, everything in there is inerrant and it's 100% true. Obviously, right now I don't believe that, but I'm older and I'm an adult and I looked at it. I don't know how I would have taken that information if I was a child and looked at it.
And so she asked me, can science and God coexist? And what she wants to be a good mother, how should she handle this?
Does a person have to choose between God and science?
It depends on what your belief in God has you also believe in society.
My answer to that question would be, I don't know. And the reason why is because I think a lot of religions, and of course you have to kind of do this, but a lot of religions claim to know everything, right? Or at least like their religious texts, whatever religion you want to say, claims to know everything about the world, everything about the natural world, or it should be at least, you know, what is the term? Clairvoyant. Let's say like you believe in a specific religion that has a book that you're supposed to abide by, and that book claims to have the answers of the world. If those answers aren't true and they're contradictory to science, then I'm not sure if you can hold both of those things. Then that's a contradiction, right? But I think that if you believe in like maybe a God or something out there, something more powerful, I think that can totally exist. Like, you know, you can be agnostic and not really know what's out there or whatever and believe in a God and believe in science at the same time. But I think that if you believe in a specific religion and that book or that text is telling you, hey, X, Y, and Z things are true about the world, and then we're finding out now, you know, X amount of thousands of years after that book was written that those things aren't true, then I think there is like, you're stuck between a rock and a hard place about how you're going to, you know, think about the world. Because if it's incompatible with your religion, then I don't know how you square that circle.
For the longest while, anyone who fell on the ground writhing, frothing at the mouth, they were clearly occupied by the devil. Mm-hmm. So what happened? You get the exorcist priest. They come over, they got the holy water, and they chant some Latin words, and then the symptoms dissipate. Mm-hmm. They got that. They got rid of the devil. Well, of course, it's not the devil. It's epilepsy. We see this. We know what that is.
And I actually wish I would have seen Steve Harvey's face, because that's actually really, really funny. And that's scary, too. I want you guys to picture, oh, my God, like, I cannot imagine ever being in a different era of time ever. Because everybody was uniquely terrible for whatever time they're in. I actually would like to know more history so I could figure out, what if I had to choose, which era would it be? Because not knowing things is so scary. Imagine you have an epileptic episode, okay? And they're thinking that you're possessed by a demon. And you're like, well, I actually don't feel like that. Like, I'm not really, I mean, you could have been a devout Christian and had an epileptic episode, and then all of a sudden you are just like the devil reincarnate. Like, what the hell? I would be so pissed. Like, what are you supposed to do in that scenario? Or just the concept of like the Salem witch trials. Like, what are you supposed to do in that scenario? I'm not a witch. I've never claimed to be one. Like, and they would just do that for some stupid shit. If you like so much as looked at somebody funny, you are a witch. And I just think that that's insane. Like, why is that okay?
We have medicines for this, okay? So if your belief in God is so strong and so widespread that your holy books from thousands of years ago are informing your understanding of the natural world in modern times, that could make conflict.
And if you're a Christian watching this, I implore you to just really think about it. And you might you might think that I'm insane, right? But the concept of the rainbow, okay? The rainbow was always, portrayed to me as a person who grew up in Christianity. The rainbow was always a sign that God would never flood the earth again. Now, I have my loads and loads and loads of issues with the global flood, Noah's Ark, whether that could have happened, the evidence we have for it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm not even going to talk about that, right? Let's just talk about the rainbow. The rainbow is supposed to be something that God put on this earth to let us know that he was never going to flood the earth ever again, or globally, I guess, because there's been local floods, right? We understand now how rainbows work. I believe that at the time the Bible was written, they didn't know. They really didn't know how rainbows work. It was kind of a cool phenomenon. I was like, look at that in the sky. I see all of these different colors in a stripe formation. We don't know how it happened. And so therefore it was a miracle. It was something to behold, right? So if you didn't know, a rainbow is formed when sunlight passes through falling raindrops and undergoes refraction, internal reflection, and dispersion. Now, do I know what all those things mean? No, of course not, but somebody does. Sunlight is consisted of like more than just white light. Like, to us, it looks kind of white or maybe yellow or whatever, right? But it's really, really white. And it's all of the colors together. And when it hits a raindrop, the colors are now separated. And so we can see, just based off the way the light ray hits the water, we can then see rainbow colors because it's all being separated and split up, right? Which makes sense. My question is then, are we to believe that before the flood, rainbows did not exist? The way that light interacts with water did not exist. So for all of the however long people were around before the flood happened, before Noah's Ark and everything like that happened, that there were no rainbows ever. When it rained, there was never a rainbow ever. Are we to believe that? Like, I just cannot fathom that at a period of time, light did not behave the same way in water droplets, and that God created it after the flood. The exact date when the first humans saw a rainbow is unknown. Science indicates that rainbows appeared on Earth billions of years ago when rain and sunlight first interacted, meaning early humans witnessed them long before any written history, which makes a lot of sense, right? If you have humans here and you have sunlight and you have water droplets, okay, and they've all existed at the same time, don't you think that the sun would have interacted with those same water droplets in the same way as they always have? I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe this is a bunch of hoopla. I don't understand it.
I was talking one time and a lady said to me, I said, I believe God created heaven and earth. She said, well, scientifically, it's been proven that it came from a cosmic dust that spun into a ball of gas and it cooled off. I said, okay. They cooled off and we had earth. That's what she said. I said, okay, let me ask you something. Where did cosmic dust come from? And then she said, it's part of the universe. I said, where did the universe come from? She says, part of the galaxy. I said, where did the galaxy come from?
It's always something bigger, of course, right? Obviously, you could say the same thing about God. If you go all the way to the outside of the universe and galaxies and blah, 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 and you see the universe, and then you say, well, who created the universe? Okay, obviously, you're going to say God, a being, something. And I'm okay with that. I'm perfectly fine with that. But then when you then say that that specific God is speaking to you directly, is helping you find your keys, don't play. And this is no shade, I'm so sorry. Specifically interacting with you, talking to humans, I don't know, right? That's where we can't say definitively that's happening, right? I can understand why you can be like, okay, well, what is this? Why are we here? You know, and I think all of us have those same questions, but to say you know exactly what the answer is and you're speaking to the person who created, or the thing, I guess, that created everything, I think is a little bit crazy. And then to have everyone seem to be so confident about it. Like, I think the best position is to say you don't know. I think that's the best position to be in. I don't know. I don't know. I don't understand. I'm not sure. I don't have all the information. I don't have all the facts. I don't have all the data. I don't have all of anything, right? But to be so arrogant as to say, I have the right religion, and not only do I have the right religion, but if you don't have the right religion, your ass is going to be burnt it up, do. That is terrible. To me, that's terrible. I don't like when people come from a standpoint of religion, right, which I don't have an issue with, but they come from a standpoint of religion, and then they try to make science seem so out there or so unbelievable. Oh, you're telling me that it's from a cosmic dust? Organic dust? What even is that? It's like, okay, but I can also say the same thing about many religions. It just, like, many things don't make sense to people, right?
I said, where did the galaxy come from? I'm just trying to get to where something formed something.
We can do that. We say, where did dust come from? It came from the cores of stars. And where did that come from? And then ultimately we get to the Big Bang. Mm-hmm. Then you say, well, where did the Big Bang come from? And I say, I have no idea. Right. It is a frontier of science, and we've got top people working on it.
Okay.
And now, you want to put God there, I don't have a problem with that, but why won't you allow me to ask you, where did God come from?
Well, see, guess what? You ain't got no answer to where the Big Bang come from.
Not yet.
Well, you ain't finna have one.
What's that supposed to mean? How do you know he's not going to have one?
I'm not.
Okay, look at that audience. Look at that audience, okay, and look what they clapped at. I really do think that there is a chokehold. Obviously, I know everyone hates me. There's a chokehold of Christianity on the Black community. I understand it. I think that there's maybe a little bit less happening in millennials and Gen Z, because people are starting to ask different questions about things. And I think we're also in a different era in the United States history. But whatever. I'm not going to, hash out my thoughts on Christianity in the Black community. But I do think it's interesting that this is a mostly Black audience, obviously because it's the Steve Harvey show. But yeah.
If your list of things that you provide that we don't have a good answer for it, and that's where God resides within you,
the unexplainable,
you have to be ready for the moving frontier of science to then answer those questions.
Yes.
And if that's how you want your relationship to God to be, you have to be prepared for what you understand God to be an ever-shrinking pocket of scientific ignorance. So I'm saying...
I don't know how you didn't understand that. He's saying that if you say, okay, I don't understand this, it must be God, and then we now understand it, then God is going to shrink in your mind in what you believe about God, because now you understand more things. Now, it's not that you can't say that those things are still not God, but it's like, it does, raise the question. The people of the time that were writing these religious texts, maybe they just didn't understand things, so they attributed it to God, or attributed it to like something specific that God did at a specific, like the rainbow situation. If you have that, then maybe it's a little less smoke and mirrors, because before it probably was amazing. It must be God. It's amazing. But now it's like, okay, we understand it a little better, right? And it's not to say you can't say it's still God, but it's like, okay, we understand exactly how it works, right? We know it's the sunlight going through the water droplets or whatever. And it's a little bit less mystical. And the smoke and mirrors is gone out of it.
God needs to be something deeper to you than just whether a statement in the Bible matches what science shows today. God needs to be something deeply more spiritual to you than just thinking of the Bible is a science textbook.
No,
that's what I'm saying.
No,
that's all I'm
check this
saying.
out.
A lot of Christian apologists will say, well, the Bible's not a scientific textbook, mama. We never said it was. But the issue is that when you look into the Bible and it says specific things, that might or might not be true, then you have to kind of look at it with an eyebrow raised, because it's like, isn't this supposed to be the divine word of God? Why would anything ever be wrong? And this is beyond, witness testimony of Jesus' resurrection or whatever inerrancies you can find in the Bible or contradictions or whatever that people have been debating for so long. That's not even what I'm talking about. I'm talking about actual things that we know are said in the Bible that are just not true about science or whatever.
It's limited knowledge that I have about science. And I just seen through scriptures, and I've seen through a belief system that I was taught that anything is possible, and that I have risen from the dirt to a place I never saw I could get to, and I have no scientific explanation for that.
So can anybody explain to me what he said or what he means by that, or how that has anything to do with God? He says he doesn't understand science, and he's saying through scripture he has seen that from what he was taught, that he was risen from the dirt and made it to a place that he never thought that he could get to, and he has no explanation for it. I don't know what that means. And the reason why I don't know what that means is because scientifically, of course we could say how you got to that point, right? There is an explanation in science. You got up one day, you said, I want to be a comedian. I don't know his history. I don't know his whole backstory, right? But obviously he's a comedian, and you got a show, and you're in the right room with the right people, right? It maybe in another universe it wasn't you. I'm not saying that, there is nothing remarkable about him, right? Obviously he did what he needed to do to become Steve Harvey, the one that we know today. But I don't understand. It's not like it just fell in your lap. And even if it did, how do you know that that's God? And how do you know it's the right God? How do you know it's the God of the Bible that you're reading? How do you know it's not some other God? And it's like, I don't, it doesn't explain anything, right? It could be remarkable. You could believe that, you don't understand how you got there and all those things. I just don't know how you accredit it to one specific thing or being or religion or book when you don't really know. As a person who is religious, let's say you're like, I don't believe in evolution, I don't believe in science, and blah, 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 blah. Even though you do. You believe in science in almost every part of your life, actually, except for when it comes to religion, something that is at odds with maybe the specific religion that you are, then you don't want to hear it. Then you don't believe in science, then you don't think it's true, then you don't think it's real or whatever, right? But, when you're using your laptop and your phone, or you go outside, you turn on your car, or, lights work in your house, or you're using any sort of electronics or anything like that, you understand science in that way, right? Then it's okay. But as soon as that same science is used in a different, subject, category, whatever, that is maybe at odds with something you believe, then you don't believe it. You don't believe it's not true, it's fake news, right? Science is so hard to understand. I don't have no idea how my phone works. Does anybody understand how you're watching me right now? Right? You might know a little bit, but do you really understand the full process of how I am recording my voice, how I'm recording my face, how we have my screen recording up on the screen right now, how I uploaded it to YouTube wirelessly, and then now you're being able to watch it? Do you understand how it's coming out of your speakers? Do you understand all that process? You don't, right? And that's kind of how, I think a lot of things work in terms of science. It's like you might see the outcome or what people are saying about it. And obviously evolution is different because we can't see macro evolution at scale. But a lot of these scientific topics require a little bit of effort to actually understand them, and maybe you would understand them more if you took a course on them. Am I expecting you to take a course on them? Absolutely not, right? But I'm also not reading the Bible or reading the Quran or anything like that, right? I can say I don't believe in a religion, but have I done the due diligence to read the book and read the books or whoever, whatever religion it is, and then come to that conclusion? No, we're all doing the same things, right? I just think that I'm doing a more logical thing. I think I'm doing the more logical thing by saying I don't know, right? I think that is the most logical thing you can do if you're not going to put in the work. If I did put in the work and I was like, okay, I read the full Quran, I sat with it and I did my research. I did this. I understood the historicity of it and all this other stuff. And I said, I don't believe it. And I said, the reason why I don't believe it is because, X, Y, and Z. And then I said, did the same thing with the Bible. If I did all of those things, then obviously I would have much more backing to what I'm saying. But at the end of the day, I'm not willing to do that, right? But I'm also not saying something is 100% wrong. I'm just saying I don't know. And I think that that's the most admirable thing to do. All right, that's the end of this video. Let me know if you guys want me to react to anything else. I want to know what you guys thought about the religion in this topic. If you guys have a specific religion, if you just disagree with me and everything that I said, you hate me, let me know down in the comments below. Also, YouTube thinks that you're going to really, really like this video here, so you should click on it.